Welcome, pool fans, to another Accu-Stats production. We are here at the 23rd Annual Derby City Classic. Right behind me, over 400 players competing in banks, straight pool, 9-ball. But right in front of me, it's invitation only. We are playing on this 5x10 Bigfoot diamond table. It's called the Bigfoot Challenge. 10-ball challenge, 16 of the greatest players on the planet, all going for the championship. This is round one action, but only one will move on, and it's time to find out. Let's meet the players. First up, he's a 2017 Moscone Cup MVP, 2018 World 9-ball champion, and the 2019 U.S. Open champion. Sponsored by Predator, Gabriel's Tables, and Andy Cloth from Berlin, Germany. Let's make some noise for the killer, Joshua Filler. His opponent is a 2016 Kremlin Cup champion, two-time Euro Tour champion, and a 2021 World Pool Masters champion. He's sponsored by Predator and King 8 Pool from Athens, Greece, Kazabubu. Let's hear it for Alex Kazakis. Our referee is Mr. Dwayne Payne. We're lagging for the break and gonna sit it up to the guys in the Accu-Stats booth.
Hello and welcome to you, the greatest pool fans ever. Mark Wilson and Jeremy Jones here, bringing you the action. And Jeremy, we know quite a bit about Filler, but Kazakis has really kind of rounded his game up from some early struggles in his career.
Yeah, you know, and I'll be honest about it. You know, about 7 or 8 years ago, when I really started to, watch Kazakis, watch him, I really saw him a lot in the internet, or I think it was the U.S. Open still at that time in Virginia. Could see the hard work. I'd never thought he would be at the ranking he had gotten to at one point, and steadily hovering now in the top 10, top 12 in the world. Just a lot of dedication, a lot of hard work, and of course he's the benefit of being around a lot of great players throughout the year, but a guy that maybe is steadily working harder than anyone out there at all times, it seems like. And quite conversely, than our last match, we see an awesome break off by Filler. And I see that speed. I was about to say 19.34. I was going to say somewhere between 19 and 20. Definitely didn't go above that. And he got a great reaction on the rack. And really, he needs a nice shot here on the 2. The 4 doesn't pass the 7. So he's going to have to get kind of heavy on the 2 to hold something easy on the 4. So we'll see how his speed control is here early in his first set on the Bigfoot Challenge. I think he's gotten pretty perfect.
First time we've seen someone make 4 balls on the break.
Well, I wouldn't doubt if we see it again. Just a little drag shot, it looks like.
40-second shot clock. That will not be a problem for Filler.
No, and Kazakis has a lot of experience with the shot clock, so I think that extra 10 seconds, he's used to a lot of 30-second clocks. I think he'll be fine.
Kazakis has always been a very straight shooter, but in recent years he's suffered a couple, debilitating losses, but he's come back and he's become a much more complete player. I really admire his tenacity.
Well, if you had to pick out, there's just a handful of those players that you would think some of those, hiccups or setbacks, at the moment end up being, something that's good for that player. I know it sounds crazy, right, to miss out on a title because of a big mistake or whatever, but to rebound, he's one of those guys that's going to take it and take it well. And a break and run to start on that.
A win the lag, break and run. You got some momentum, some serious momentum already going. I always get a kick out of watching Filler. He's 24 years old. He's a bundle of energy. And when he makes the 10-ball, oftentimes the 10-ball hasn't hit the bottom of the pocket. He is darting for his chair like he's got something to do. Like everything he does is fast. He chalks fast. He walks fast.
Yeah, he's kept that youth, even though I see the maturity in the last few years myself. Whether it be not so much at the table, you see it all the time, but definitely a different young man to an extent.
Definitely more electricity in the room right now than there was in the last match.
Yeah, now Kazakis, who There's a guy who's definitely a student.
That good break.
Great break off there.
I'll say.
And he's going to get a great shot at the one, and no coincidence is hovering around the same speed.
What was that?
It was 19.51. That's the same, fairly close to the same speed Filler opened with. So the right-hander can reach this easily. He'll pull the cue ball back over for the 2. Held it nice, so now he's going to have to come across the 3 a little bit. Now the 4, I think it does have both pockets, but you would think he'd want to play it in what would be the lower right corner pocket if you're looking at the screen, and he's gotten the cue ball in a great position to do so. Really kind of perfect. Could maybe stand a foot closer to it, but who cares about that? Just use the rail a little bit here, Mark.
Looks like he's got that hint of an angle.
Yeah, and he may bump the 10 just a smudge here. Just depends on how he's falling on this 4. And a lot of times when you're sitting to where you know you're going to go into the 10, you don't want to take a chance at carrying the 10 with the cue ball with like a high ball here. So you'll lightly stun into the fat side of the 10, kind of replacing the 10 with the cue ball. Like that.
Oh, good call. Nicely executed.
Yeah, the reason being is that's more definite, right? So.
Just going to roll it to the center.
Yeah, now he's in a great spot to come 2 rails with low outside. He could go 3 with inside. Another one of those shots, you know, it looks like inside's the play, but you actually use the outside 2 rail zigzag back and forth more often, especially as you become a better player. A little bit of preference, but you say percentage-wise, back and forth's a little better.
Yeah, shorter travel for one thing.
And it's just a more natural hit and stroke than it is that inside English.
Got the perfect angle to go 2 rails right out of the corner at the 9 ball, so his speed control is not so critical. Well, he's going to play at 1 rail. He's going to drag across.
Yeah. And especially on the slick table, that back and forth zigzag really sets up. It spreads nice off that second rail. It's almost like an automatic, really.
Blistering pace to start this match off with 2 breaking runs.
Yeah, and then Roberto and John's defense, really the break never got going that great for either player.
Yeah, very good. What do you suppose the break and run ratio is at this level of play on a 10-foot table? I think it's 20% or just a hair over.
Yeah, you know, when the guys get settled with the break, I mean, you know, that's the main thing. If they're making balls, we all know what the 10-ball break does these days. It sets up to give up a lot of shots on the 1 if you're making balls. So, you know, I think if you gave them a ball on the break, a little higher percentage, that percentage goes up quite a bit. You might see 30, 35, 40% maybe.
Moscone Cup guys, but they break and run 9 ball in that 30%, which I would have never dreamed it was that high.
Cue ball. Our first ooh.
There's another ball that hung up that wouldn't have yesterday. Right?
Yeah. Get a replay there. Did he stop that with his hand?
Yeah.
What exactly happened there? I took my eyes off the cue ball looking at the layout. And
it wiggled back and forth as if it was going to drop, and then it just stopped.
Yeah, and he's got a little thin edge of this, but he knows he really can't move the 1 ball enough. I think that's the issue. You know, there's not really anywhere to go with the cover, and he can't move the 1 enough. Okay, I doubt Kazakis passes this.
Maybe just a hair casual on that push out, because look at the cue ball's a diamond away from the end rail.
Yeah,
you know, you can't do that with good players.
And that's why, even without looking at it, once the cue ball got off the rail, that's why I figured he's not going to pass this. If he can cue it this well. Might come with the straight back here.
And he can play safe. he's not going to pass the shot back to Filler, no matter what we do. That's out.
He could run the cue ball 2 rails behind the 9-8. Not terrible. The one's going to flutter over the hole, though, somewhere near the 4. The one thing you can always like in this format is no jump cues, right?
Right.
So these types of safeties, that's another reason why it's very hard to pass on it if you're Alex.
Filler always reminds me of Jason Shaw when he was 24. Firepower supreme, but then maybe some of the tactical side of the game not so nimble on because he hadn't been tested that way. He could just overpower everybody and give you these games. He didn't worry about it. He just not going to exert himself. He'll just outrun the whole thing. But now that he's gotten better, Jason Shaw has developed a lot of the other aspects of his game, makes him way tougher player. That's a nice effort.
He's trying to squeeze underneath the 4. It's real close. And even though Alex didn't like it, like he wasn't in love with that shot, obviously it took a long time. He wasn't giving it back to Filler.
Okay, well, we're informed that today we're using the new diamond cue ball, and it's got multiple diamonds on it.
Yeah, we used a diamond cue ball yesterday, but it wasn't the one with the multiple spots. Seems like it agrees with these airments real nice, though. Haven't really seen. Right. Aramith, oh, nice shot there.
There's a testimonial of the straight shooter that I've always known, Kazakis.
Now he's super nice here. He'll just pinch this up a little bit, take a little angle on the 4 to drop a hair behind the 5 to naturally come over for the 6. So, of course, you don't want to be on the rail. You don't want to be that thin on the 5, but you do want to be a hair underneath it. 7's over the side, so get nice and straight on the 6 here in a moment. That'll be key. Nice little friendly bounce. Perfect.
This angle leads right across the table, and even if you would land straight in, the 7's very near the side pocket, so it won't be a problem. Doesn't need to get a great angle here.
No reason to get thin. No reason to get missable on the 6 with where the 7's at. Just a little float stroke here. And just think about that rollout, right? That shot that Alex ended up shooting, how much more difficult is that shot if the cue ball's on the rail?
Right.
You know, it's just going to be, you know, even if it's just mentally 25% more difficult and really physically not that much, but it does get in your head. An efficient run out after a great 1 ball.
Isn't that the truth? A very up-tempo 10 ball right now on the 10-foot table.
And Kazakis breaks the first serve, now at 2-1 and breaking in game number 4.
We got some great fans. We got Chuck Laird listening in Macomb, Illinois. He's a big supporter oftentimes here. Loves the 10-ball event. Couldn't make it this year. And we got Jeff Landar and Courtney Pepitone down in Texas listening in. Welcome aboard. Glad you're here. Kathy Jo Alamanza down in Oklahoma. All right, rack 4 about to begin. Both players playing a perfect 1,000 thus far. Or TPA, total performance average.
And Kazakis with a perfect break off in game number 2 in his first break. Now both got a kiss on the cue ball there. A dry break, our first one. We've seen every match has had them. All right, this is touchy here. I may edge this and go just at the 5 and try and really use the 9 here. If he really tries to separate going behind balls, I think he could leave an opening. Is he just going behind the 9 with the cue ball here and moving the 1? I really like it. Now, he's a lefty, okay, so this makes it more tough, more difficult. But I really like just shaving the 1 here, moving it gently, going at the 5 with the cue ball. Oh, he came 2 rails. This is the other shot I was wondering about.
Gorgeous.
Yeah,
Ooh, this is going to be tough to hit.
Yeah, and if you do hit it, look what's looming. Big scratch.
This is ugly enough that a lot of times I look to tie something else up and concede a foul, but it's not going to be easy to do that either.
Yeah, you could maybe cut the 3 towards the 8 a little bit, but other than that, I really don't see a whole lot. Would you soft kick at this? I mean, just super soft, trying to lay on the 1?
I would imagine that's what the. He's certainly not going to kick hard. Willing to take a foul is the idea here. Quality effort. Dwayne Payne's our referee, and I love the way he handles ball in hand situations. He literally hands it to the player off the table. I always wonder when referees set it on the table or roll it towards the player, because that kind of leads to where something that could be construed as if something gets bumped, it's not really the player's fault. And we are playing all ball fouls. Filler wastes no time, plays a little thin ball in hand safety here.
And he left the 1 in a treacherous spot, even for the 1 rail kick. Might go 2 rails around the 9 here. I know that opens up the scratch a little more, but I get a little better feel, I think, still kicking softly. The thing is, do you want to kick softly? You know what I mean? Do you want to tear him up if you happen to foul? Because you will be on 2. So pretty important hit here for Kazakis.
He's going to try to open it with a little bit of right-hand English. How's his speed? That's good.
Beauty.
Oh, what a shot.
Beauty.
What a shot. And I think Filler will pin him to the backside of the 7 ball here. Introducing.
Still, though, great effort. I mean,
Oh,
that's just
tremendous.
all you can do.
Yeah.
Keep doing it.
Oh, boy. Yeah.
You
That's doom.
really covered the object ball up there. Now you try and tie something up, the 8 on the 3, maybe. I mean, that's not easy.
Right. Now, if you hit this ball, we would erect a statue to you outside the Kazakis golden marble.
You do hit it. Good luck getting a rail afterwards. The paths you do have, those couple little paths you do have. Yeah, I think he's really got to try and put the 8 on the 3. I mean, just not really a whole lot of.
And look at his shot to do it. He can't even take a foul easily. He's got a jack up. Oh, good effort.
How good was that?
Yeah, where he was at.
Excellent. Now he's got ball in hand, so getting short side on the 3 is possible.
You know, I don't mind. It looks like he's going to pin him to the 6, but I don't mind if I don't know if the 1 goes down. I try to shoot the 1 in between the 3 and 8 and pin him to the other side of the 6, backside. Oh, he did it this way. I see. The idea was he wanted to get that 1 ball back over where he has to tear into him to make a hit.
Yeah, not something you see very often from Filler or any of these top pros, a safety on a ball in hand. And, you know, the kiss shot on the 3 isn't great, making the 8 because the 3's going to go on the side rail and the 7's there. But short side on the 3 was a possibility.
Right.
And he'd elected to pull on the reins and take the safety.
Massey here to get a hit. Looks pretty good. Oh, boy.
Pretty unlucky not to get the rail.
Not to get a rail, yeah. Pretty unfortunate.
Now he can play a 1-8 maybe? Can he play a 1-8 to open things up?
Well, Kazakis is on 2 as well. So
no.
No? Didn't Filler just have ball in hand?
Yeah, he did. You're right. He's on 2. So, yeah, the safety here is definitely the shot. He's going to push the 1 behind the 4, couple rails, and just stun the cue ball over here into the 8 just lightly.
Right. Oh, if you go soft into the 8 where you can kind of wedge it up on there.
Yeah, and watch the object ball placement behind the 4, I think anyways.
You have to be mindful you don't make something here. He didn't quite get where he wanted to be.
He wants the 1 to get up, though. See, this is the second part of the shot, really covering the 1 up with other object balls.
Looks like Filler might have explained to him. Yeah, Filler's pointing out that he's on 2 fouls. We didn't see that earlier. But you have to be warned you're on 2 fouls.
Yeah, and can he curve by the 5 and still get 2 rails? I think that's going into the 10 maybe. So can he get 3 rails in between the 4-10 and to the back side of the 1?
That's murder. You might as well just go 1 rail at the 1. It's just because now you're introducing more rails. I don't know if we can get the overhead.
It's a little natural, though.
If we get the overhead, I think he goes here and just opens it just a little bit,
rail,
straight, rather than, here's why. Because if you come up here, now you've got to get around through that gap right there and then still got to pick up a rail, and you've lost a lot of the zip on the cue ball by that point.
Now he's looking at the 1 rail, I think. I think the 3 rail he would aim maybe to the 3rd diamond and bend it with a little low and a hair of left.
Yeah.
He'll have to bend the 1 railer as well. There's no natural path there on the slick felt with a high ball. He's got to be going 3 rails if he's hitting a high ball. Oh, what a hit. Oh, my.
What a shot.
What a beautiful was that?
That was, if he fails to make that impact on the 1 and get a rail, he's going to lose the game instantly. So.
Yeah, now decisions. He can cut the 2 in the side and go into the 3-8. It's a little thin, of course, but it is natural. Doesn't have to hit it very hard. He can play the 2 in the corner, which is more straight in, but does it really offer anything to get out? Can he get on the kiss shot? Yeah, I don't know if that's enough. Does
yeah, he hit a little heavy. He hit a little bit heavy. I think he was wanting to get the billiard on the 8.
I think the 3 must play. Is all I can think of. Because that was a dangerous way to get below the ball anyways, right? I mean, with the 9 being there, I mean.
Well, he now looked at just
the safety.
You're right. He looked at just rolling, get the 8, so the 3 doesn't go. Oh, good job.
Yeah, Filler's going to have to kick a couple rails lightly here. When the ball's near the pocket, you know, you want to kick firm, right, to try and make the cue ball escape, but you can actually bump up on this ball and not make it and not leave a return when you kick lightly. There's a lot of little things by the pocket that happens well at a light speed. I learned that from Efren, watching him a lot, kicking at a ball near the pocket that wasn't hanging.
Right.
And I saw him leave a lot of where the ball's on top of it, you know, nothing easy. All right, so Kazakis, you know.
He's taking it to Filler. He's not backing down.
Well, he's not backing down, and he's promoted a few mistakes here.
Now this is a
difficult out.
Treacherous 3, 4, 5, even with ball in hand. And pros are always very disappointed they have ball in hand. They don't get 3 balls. But in this case, this is going to be a pretty good challenge.
Yeah, you creep this 1 rail into position towards the 4, getting tidier on it, or do you come 2 rails and stay nice and heavy?
I don't like this angle unless he really gets perfect speed here because you're coming into the small area. I thought he would go across at the 5 ball. Even if he lightly bumps the 5, he's okay.
Oh, I thought he might stay 2 rails above the 6 and get straight to where he could draw, but It's funny, he was practicing that ball down the rail, past the side before the match. He shot it several times, so now it may come up here on the 5-ball. Now he's going to get a little thinner on it than he practiced. He practiced more of straight in-ish kind of shots. So.
No, this will test the straight shooting right here.
And, you know, with a good stroke, you produce a lot of slide on the ball, so that gives you a little more margin for error. See how well he hits it. That's exactly how he hit about 40 or 50% of the ones he practiced, just a little bit wide. Made a few of them still. And he got a little funny on the 6 to get on the 7 as well. So
That's a good effort on Filler's part to get that up out of there from that angle. That cue ball doesn't want to come this way.
And now short side, it looks like on the 7.
Yeah.
And the bad thing about that is you have to take an angle like Alex did to get on the 8, unless you're going to play an 8-9 combo. So nothing easy on the 7 coming. He's a bounce.
Well, to use one of your phrases, he's going to rely on his talent.
Yeah.
That's what's happening here. Filler's not going to agonize over these things. He's just going to shoot.
I don't think he can level out too much. I think he's got to put a little effort into this, a little stunish.
No, I think he might even take the combination. He just wants to shoot.
Yeah, he's going to fall on top of it and take a safety probably, man. And what that was making sure nothing terrible happened.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, he knew he might not get on the 8, but he knew nothing terrible was going to happen there also.
Yeah, it's laying just a little funny to wedge in behind the 9 there.
Yeah,
he wants to take his time.
Make sure the cue ball gets the rail. He knew the 8 wasn't. Now Kazakis, who's already come with a couple incredible kick shots. He's got to come with another. You kick one rail up and down, right?
I think he's
at a light speed, right?
I thought he might go 2. If he goes end rail, long rail, you can sometimes get separation, but it's probably equal in this case.
Well, the only reason I might go 1 here is because I'm right there on the line of the 8. I'm near it, right? So I can see that 1 rail line real nice. And you can hit it heavy and bring the cue ball to the end rail and not sell out.
You can also make it.
Yeah, exactly. Now you could scratch like this as well. But there's still a lot of good things that can happen. He caught the wrong side of the 8.
Yep. Yeah, if you go the 2 rail route, you're for sure giving up any hope of making the ball.
Most likely, yeah. You could chop it in, I guess. I've seen Efren do that a few times as well, which I think I've seen Efren do it all a few times. All right, here. A little preference on how he wants to play it. Now, last time, of course, saw Filler at the Moscone, but prior to that, I saw him a lot like Kachi, a lot like even Shane. Seemed like he made a conscious effort to get a little sweeter with the stroke to me, it seems like. Because he is the one that favors the stun a lot, but also sometimes struggles with some of the softer spin shots. And it seemed like to me last few times I saw him play, he was really excelling at that. Kachi, to me, definitely looks like a guy who's made a conscious effort to get a little cleaner with the stroke. It's awfully straight.
Well,
that's for sure. But
when you have a neck tattoo that says perfection, you better be trying to get a little cleaner.
Yeah. I think about that word a lot, perfection. And I'm like, because, you know, you see people in different situations, and I keep getting reminded that perfection is really not what you should be after. But
John Schmidt saw that.
Yeah, firsthand.
And he said he's getting him a neck tattoo that says, "I'm doing the best I can."
Well, pretty much a carbon copy of our first break off, and now he's only made 3 on the break, not 4, but I think the speed was pretty identical.
1885.
Okay, a little lighter than his 19.3 or something like that.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Must be hitting him square because he's definitely getting way more ball action at that.
Yeah, but the thing is, even though he's hitting them lighter, he's accelerating into the rack. So I think more than anything, that's the key, is you have to create acceleration, not just a heavy hit on the cue ball.
Yeah.
But a cue stick that's accelerating through that cue ball. And it seems like, just like it puts more energy on an object ball when you're shooting it, Seems like it gets more into the rack as well. All right, funny a little bit. He can zigzag 2 rails. He can come 3. The 4's a little high up the rail to zigzag maybe on this one. You might go inside here.
Beautiful hit. I get a little thinner, so you can soft roll this and with left English, but you're going to get some squirt. He's not using side spin. He went inside
of it.
Okay, that's easier yet if you had that thin.
And that's mainly so he could attack on the swing, really control what was going on. And he used just a little bit of the pocket there, you know, Mark. So.
Yeah. Yeah. Some players are just happy to hit the pocket. He's playing to a part of the pocket that create different dimensions. And it's not just filler. All pros are like that.
Yeah, some really do it way more often than others. But
second break and run out of the match.
Yeah, he's only had 3 breaks.
Ladies and gentlemen, please put your phones on silent.
Yesterday in our opening round, we had Fedor Gorst, who won his match and broke and ran 5 times. And then last night, Van Moning was at 3 or 4, I think. I got it written down here, but I have to go back through my notes.
Yeah, and Shane looked so much better as that match went along.
Yeah. Shaw, fantastic. He had 3 or 4 break and run outs for sure.
Yeah, and he was breaking them right around 19, upper 18, something like that.
Exactly. But he was getting that same action.
No, it's really just about creating that acceleration, I think, Mark, really. Yeah. You know, when you shoot any shot, right, and you're accelerating the cue, the object ball comes off much hotter, right? You put a lot more energy into the object ball. Same thing with the rack here. Seems like to me when you're getting that good connection, they really fly out of that template.
5 and 8 right behind the 1 ball. Those are the balls that most often find the side pocket. The 8 ball did.
He crossed the 1 over a little bit, but he hit him with a good timing. So
looks like the 4 is going to block him from direct access. So he may have a cross corner bank.
Yeah, a little off angle on the cross corner as well, and he's elevated. So this is super touchy here. He might bang this around 4 rails, trying to like stun the cue ball forward a little bit, get the 1 to the back rail.
I don't know if he can see enough of it to do that.
No, I thought he could see a decent amount, like almost all the ball, but not really the left side of it.
You know, if you're uncomfortable with this, you can play, you know, not the bank to make the pocket, but just to overcut it and control the cue ball and just leave the 1 ball on that end of the table that it's on now. Let the cue ball go down behind the 10-7.
This angle tells me the bank's on. This camera angle tells me it's definitely playable, and this is the shot you were talking about.
Yeah.
And I don't think he was playing the bank. I think he went ahead and committed to the overcut.
That's what I meant. It was just playing awkward. You weren't going to get an easy position on the 3, and you don't want to risk it, so just make filler play from end rail to end rail.
I might kick between the 6-9 here, right before the side. That looks like a little better option as far as getting a reward anyways. Now the cue ball is going to rest near this rail, so you're always happy with that once you're done kicking at a ball. Well, Kazakis is very difficult to play safe with the cue ball pinned near the rail here. Hard to dig on the cue ball, so might have to go here, Mark.
And there's a reward attached if he succeeds.
Yeah, this is the type of shot I rarely see these guys miss when they go ahead and shoot it a little bit. Don't roll it so much. Don't fire it, of course, but commit. Nice confident stroke. The pocket opens up. Yeah, nice shot.
Beautiful shot. He even introduced a hint of side spin with it.
Yeah, but he didn't slow roll it. I like that. He went ahead and committed. I think that's these guys, they rarely miss the target when that's the case.
Yeah, Kazakis is proving what I was saying about what a straight shooter he is 3 or 4 times already in this match. You can see he's always had that tool.
Yeah, and I honestly think these guys become even better on the 10-footer once they get a little comfortable, because what I've always felt is I just immediately throw away guiding the cue at all. The 10-footer to me is like demands a good stroke almost every shot. So once you get comfortable, I think the better players really start to excel. Now he's got to hold a little angle. The 6 doesn't pass the 9.
You pinch this back and play the 5 in the side. Pretty good speed.
Slow down
no,
a
good
little
speed.
bit.
Oh,
now he's got to work the rock, though.
I see what you're saying.
Might
yeah.
take on the corner here. The corner looks pretty natural. You just fall one rail between the 6-9. You got a big pocket up in the corner.
You're
not saying you're not supposed to shoot the side, but to me, I would definitely at least entertain the corner.
Well, I think the corner leads to very little cue ball movement. If you go on the side, you got to move that cue ball a long ways, and a lot of things can go wrong with that. So the percentage play is this way in the corner.
Super nice. So early, we're not seeing a ton of exchanges from the guys in each game. Really, whoever gets that first shot, it seems like. So these guys plenty prepared.
Yeah, it's been 1 inning 10 ball thus far, which doesn't mean every game is only 1 inning. It means the first shooting inning ends in a kill.
Got a little straight here. May have to play on the short end of the 9.
He's not afraid of that. I think.
No, but you know, I mean, with them right here, the way they're laying, you don't want to have to do that, but it still should be fine. You know, if the 10's across the table on the rail or something, things are a little different. But now with the 10 so handy, should be okay.
Good job there. And that's one of the rare times that you use hitting the cue ball with the stun draw to bring it back. Normally you use effective draw. But when you're close range to govern the speed, it works better if you just adjust the tip up slightly higher on the cue ball and still use that medium pace.
Yeah, you shorten the bridge a little bit to handle so you don't have to guide the stroke so much. And like Mark said, you just use a
Oh, man, I can't believe it. That's the second time a ball went inside that pocket and hung like that.
Yeah,
deep.
that one was hit pretty up the rail, though, and you can tell it was total miss hit. Look at the cue ball for the 10.
Yeah.
So there were a lot of things that didn't go right for Kazakis there. Now, one thing, this is as deep as it gets. It looks like 2/3 of the ball's over the lip.
Check this out. This is going to be one of the toughest position plays. You think a hanging ball should be easy. This is really brutal because it's going to hit the point. You can't go rail first. And
the good thing is the only real scratch I see is down here on the, 2 rails out, like really hitting it hard. I think he did excellent.
He's smiling. He does. He wanted to work the cue ball closer, but it just was unrealistic. You just had to settle for this. Oh,
just so solid at impact.
Truly smooth. Truly drained it. 4-2 is our score.
And
good shot making.
Filler opens up a 2-game lead, 4 games to 2, and he'll have the break.
Filler, I don't think he'll pick up the pace on the break at all. He's broke them well. The one's been over the pocket a lot. The 2 and 3 near the sides. There's the 3 down. Cue ball got kissed. And what's the 6 going to do? It's going to open up, and we're going to probably see. Look how accurate that is. It was 18.32 in game number 1. 18.31 here in his 4th break. And really just, he's made it 3 balls again, Mark. This is going to be a tough guy to beat. I mean, not just because of his playing, of course, but we've seen some players, all of them at times struggle a little bit on the break. And I wouldn't say Shane struggled too much. He did have a couple of them that were, it wasn't the best, but mostly for Shane last night, he just didn't get shots. He ended up right next to the object ball a lot of times, just right on top of it a little bit. But the filler keeps breaking the way he is. Going to be a tough out here in this 10-foot tournament. And you could say with the list of players that have won this, definitely on Filler's mind to win this 16-player field here.
Well, I think it's like the players all know this is a special event here. It's not even just that it has good money with it, but it's more the title that you held off 16 of the absolute best players in the field.
Yeah, it's always about the field for the players, in my opinion. I mean, the money is nice, and it's always nice to do well. But when it comes to really talking about it and chalking it up at the end, it's definitely going to be about the fields you beat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's kind of like your reputation starts here.
Yeah. Did that catch enough? A little short of his mark there.
Mm-hmm.
So he'll make a decision. Hey, can I float this in? And that cut on the 10 is okay. Yes, it is.
I like the way he double-checked it. That way there's no surprises when he has to cut in a little bit thinner 10 ball than he really would have wanted.
Well, and sometimes you can see even with the pros, like right there with Josh, is maybe I didn't want to go check, but hey, that's what I'm supposed to do.
Exactly.
So let me force that upon here, even though it's an easy situation.
Golly, third break and run out.
Yeah, well, in those three, he's made 10 balls on the break. He's made a 4, a 3, and a 3.
Now it's the break, trailing 5-2.
That speeds things up.
So quickly, early, a bit of pressure on Kazakis. That 9 ball was huge. And he's gotten the full punishment so far from Mr. Filler.
Oh,
almost lost the rock.
that was a blessing that didn't happen.
Yeah, I didn't see anything down immediately, and I don't still see anything down. And if the 2 goes, which I don't think it does, but the good thing is, if he can lay this 1 up, he can get to the backside of the 2 a few ways. So off this combination, doesn't want to lose the 1 ball. Well, he got on the inside of it. That's a little more difficult. He'd have rather been cutting it and coming right into the side rail. That way he can track 3 rails behind the 2.
Yeah, it's so thin that he recognizes it too. He knows this is going to be one of those dicey circumstances. He's not going to be able to, for sure, control the cue ball and get it just on angle close.
I think with inside he can still get there. Like that, 3 rails behind to the backside of the 2.
Grab.
Didn't
grab.
He got a little edge of it. Is he going to take on the bank here, Mark? I mean, probably edges this and floats him behind the 5.
I don't think he wants to bank this. That's pretty wide open. You'd have to really thin that one. The cue ball, you can't hold the cue ball if you bank this.
Just go straight to the short rail, right behind the 5.
Yeah,
just
the easiest hit.
Yeah, just float behind the 5.
Even if you leave a shot,
he hit it. He was playing the object ball more,
and that's a great decision too.
Yeah,
way easier to handle the object ball, given that circumstance.
Yeah, and sometimes, you know, you can play them both. The shot sits to play them both, but more often than not, you really need to commit to one or the other, the cue ball or the object ball. Funny little hit here coming between the balls, and I think he'll want to go those 2 rails with a touch of left spin. I think, anyways.
Oh, you don't think 3 rails? You think 2?
I think he's going to go between the 210
yeah,
and down here to the short rail and then to the side rail with spin. He could fluke this off the 8 and the side. Very makeable shot coming across the 2.
Introduce some clutter down table too with this.
Maybe makes the 5. No love just yet, and Filler's going to be set up with a little bit of a difficult 2, but very much a difficult 2 ball. But he can turn the cue ball loose a little bit, shoot it how he wants to make it with the 3-5 kind of hanging. Looks like he's dicing it. Side pocket. Oh, no, he took the corner. Okay.
Oh, what a pretty shot. Whop. Bang into the middle of the pocket.
Very straight stroke, that guy. Very hard to make them both when the balls are close together like that, right? The 3 doesn't have time to turn over. It just slides into the 5, so you can be more aggressive with that combo right there. You don't have to roll it thinking you're going to make them both.
Got a little thin.
No, he's good. I think he's perfect. The 4 didn't pass the 10, so maybe a little squeezed up on it, but in a good spot. Now here he's just got to keep it simple. This ball got a little funny to where he's not going to be able to get like super straight on the 6, I don't think anyways. Yeah, he's just going to have to take that little angle. And just imagine when this guy just really gets in that working mode. You know, don't overdo it, right? Don't get to grinding too much. That's just not him. But a little bit of that working mode along with that talent that he has, and watch out is all I can tell you. You're going to have to take a match away from him every time he loses. It's just not going to gift you very many. I like the stun one rail. Oh, you went with the top inside. Going to catch the 10 a little bit. Hard to imagine coming away with a poor shot on the 10, but has Filler missed yet, Mark? Has he missed an open shot yet?
I haven't.
Maybe one, huh?
I don't
I don't recall it either.
Well, he's playing 961, so he hasn't missed very much.
Yeah, probably his worst shot of the match was the rollout in game number 2, I think it was. Maybe it was game 3. Yeah, game 3.
6-2, and Filler has the lead and the break.
Got my friends here from St. Louis, Jason Woolsey. He's a great poker player, but he travels with his own poker dealer, so you be careful.
Wow.
Yeah, Mike Mancinas is here.
Who plays him with his own dealer?
Exactly. I mean, what chance would you have?
Action, huh?
Well, believe me, I felt it. Uh-oh, cue ball got way away there. Josh is disappointed. What was the speed on that? 18-3.
He's hovering around that same 18-3 mark, so pretty consistent there. Now we'll see. I think he probably tries to get to the short side of the 2. No reason to play the combination on the 2-4 with ball in hand on the 1. Okay, he's got to be a little careful on the spread here. So just barely past the middle diamond on the second long rail is where you want to go. You can afford to cut the 2 a little bit. That's why I was saying watch out for the spread.
He played it.
He's
pretty
okay.
nice, yeah.
Little dangerous, though, I thought. Good speed, though.
Boy, overhit that.
Yeah, and that's why I also said maybe don't go so far on that 2. Not only maybe taking a hair of a risk getting behind the 4, but really didn't mind having a little cut shot on the 2 to come up for the 3. He's fine now, though. Really surprised we haven't seen more Greek champions come about. You know, they've got some great guys to follow. Nick Economopoulos, he still is a great player, starting to play again. Nick Malai, another great player.
Yeah, Economopoulos, boy, that used to be. I used to dread that match. You know,
talent, huh? Talented, though.
No, having to say Economopoulos.
Oh, the name, yeah.
I had an awful time with that. Well, that's Nick E. But
yeah, Nick from Greek. Nick the Greek.
One, he's a great guy, and he is a tremendous
talent
shot maker.
Yeah, he's
powerful.
Yeah, he was in Vegas when I lived there for a year, and he was there for about 3 or 4 weeks. I really got to watch him play a lot. And on a super tough table when it was Pool Sharks, he just dismantled that table a few times. It was just kind of amazing.
Nikos.
Yeah, I was wondering what he might do on the 6. He can certainly run the rock a little bit. He got a little too much cut to go 2 rails underneath for the 6 on the opposite side, but I thought the 6 went by the 7. It must be tight, Mark. I didn't think it was very hard to come back for that. Now he's going to get a little He's good. Just a little roll shot in the side. Could take it in the corner as well. Looks like he's going corner, huh? He's queuing down.
Yeah, the other way, the cue ball runs away from your 7, so this way it's that same deal. It's a little bit tougher shot down the corner, but he barely has to move the cue ball.
Yeah, I like the corners myself. And to be honest with you, when the nerves are high, I kind of feel like it's an easier shot a lot of times. The side pockets, to me, I remember making some big mistakes in those side pockets. Much needed, though. You can see the score line 6-2. So if he can win this and then break off here in game number 10, maybe cut that lead to 2 games. It's going to be a little hot, maybe? No, it's good.
That's a nice shot, too. Introduce just a hint of inside spin, that much. Good speed. Cue ball's away from the cushion. Crafted a nice run out here with ball in hand. Scratch on the break by Filler caused this. 6-3 is our score.
And a nice out from Kazakis. And cuts the lead down to 3 now. 6-3. As we head into rack 10. He'll have his break.
You ever talked to Pia Filler, Josh's wife?
A little bit. Not a
She's
ton, but a little.
Sweet,
Yeah,
down to
nice.
earth, and serious about pool. I mean, just like everything about her is good.
Now Kazakis, who missed it a little bit on his last break and had a dry break. I believe it was his last one. Just crossed the one over a little bit.
This has certainly been an up-tempo match throughout. 9:42. Yesterday we had 9:50 by Filler. And
By Filler?
Feder. Feder. Yeah, good Lord. And then Shaw, 9:40. Maybe 9:42 or something like that written down. But a couple big scores on the 10-foot table for sure. 8 balls in the side. Going to get a nice shot on the 1. Oh, boy.
Yeah, and they're all together. The 1 is near the 2. The
2 balls
3 is
on
near
the
the 5. Got to work the cue ball a little from the 5 to the 6 to the 7, but this should cut the lead to 2 games here, this layout.
Yeah, there's nobody that want to bet against him not running out here, even though it is certainly still a challenge. That's a nice 2-cushion position right at the 3 here.
And really no problems at all. Plenty of space to work the cue ball. It's like a stop shot. He can pull the cue ball back underneath him after when he shoots the 5. Easily to get back to the middle of the table-ish on the 6. We'll see if he wants to draw this or stun one rail between.
The stun keeps you on line easier. If you go draw back, and that works too, but you can under or over hit it and get a little flat.
Yeah. I use the stun a lot on the slick table myself. I feel like I can control it like that very easily. Just like a second ago when Filler decided to go top inside on that 1 shot, which I like top inside as well, but on the slick table, you just got to get your mark and get it going. It really rolls nicely into position, so use a lot of those types of shots. All right, speed looks good here. Just cheat the pocket a little bit. All right, so Filler hasn't been to the table since that scratch on the break at 6-2, so we'll see if he wants to remedy that. I know he does.
Kazakis just drew the ball left-handed. Good position on the 10. This would be his second breaking run out of the set. And it's 4-6. Filler will be breaking, but leading.
Shooting above a 900 TPA. Josh Filler has a break. Leads by 2.
It's weird just how much energy came into the room with Filler and Kazakis getting the table here. Just much cleaner match so far.
Yeah, and you know, again in the last guy's defense, these guys just are breaking the balls. Seem like they're ready for the match a little bit better, maybe. Oh, that ball hopped in an odd way. Did you see that?
Yeah.
It really took a strange hop off the rack, like a couple little stutters. Now that we're going to see the true talent of Filler. Probably rolls this in and takes the long shot on the 2. I think anyways. He will go up in the air with it, butt into the cue stick if needed. He's not afraid to elevate the cue.
Yeah, the question is it harder to try to jack up and draw for position, or is it harder to just cut the 2 in?
Right. Kind of ice the 1, just rolling it in, and I think that's what he's going to take. Is he cross banking this?
Yep.
Beauty.
Look at that. With speed control.
Beauty.
He knows that he doesn't have to sell out if he hits it too thin.
Well, we talked about it earlier. With a good, confident stroke, that's a hard ball on the slick table to hang.
Yeah.
You know, now that pocket has hung a couple today that we didn't think, you know, possibly would hang. But, and also, if you give Filler a tester, right, and he sees that wins me the rack, hey, he's going usually.
Think how much fun it must be to play with that kind of confidence and firepower.
Yeah, well, that's, you know, of course, Young has a lot to do with that, but his preparation and practice and, you know, time he spends building that confidence is really where it's at. And that's what it's going to take these days. I mean, it always took that, but it, you know, even more demanding now.
Bobby Chamberlain was talking to him about his straight pull background, and he was saying back home in Germany he tries to run 200 balls every day. And Bobby says, well, how often do you do that? He says, every day.
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean? How often? I was like, okay, that'd be fun.
Well, I did the Make It Happen, and I love the way – I learned a lot watching him play straight pool, and I love the way he went through the rack. It wasn't always perfect because, you know, there were some really great straight pool players there that were saying, well, maybe this, maybe that. But he stayed in a nice flow doing it. You know, he did things that he understood he was doing versus maybe someone else looked at it differently.
Yeah.
And, again, played the game very confidently. So
They'll just 4 breaking runouts so far of his 7 wins.
Yeah.
9:52. Kazakis playing fantastic at 9:11. Trailing
by 3 games, and probably if we don't have that scratch, it could be more. That scratch on the break just a couple games ago.
Right. Boy, that was a classy run out there, though, because the cue ball got away, got right over the side pocket, made the nice cross-corner bank on the 1, and then after that, it was pretty smooth sailing. Just like Jeremy said, if he sees a shot that will win the game, he more often than not goes.
Yeah, game winner, time for me to shoot. A little alarm clock for.
Well, and the other thing is it puts a ton of pressure on your opponent when you play fast like that. I sometimes even see, you know, lesser players try to play faster all of a sudden when they play him in the match rather than stay in their tempo. He's so dynamic and he makes so many balls, you feel like you should step it up here a little bit.
Yeah. It's almost like you can't go toe-to-toe. You got to try and get your blows in the way you do it. You know, you can't just stand off and, all right, trade licks with Filler.
Boy,
take anything down.
he had so many balls that could have gone on that break. He hit them really well. Kind of sad. It was a great effort.
Yeah, this is funny cueing here with only the right part of the ball. Not sure where he's going to go. Is he going to go rail first here and get to the short side of the 2 mark? That looks like the sane shot to me, the smart shot. Looks like a pretty big pocket on the 1 to me anyways.
Yeah, you could also play the
top right English.
The 1 off the 6 too if you didn't like it.
Yeah, he just let up on it a little bit. It's not going to slow him down, I don't think. I think he does play the 1 off the 6 if he can cue the entire cue ball. But with just the right English, I didn't think, you know, he'd want to do that as much. He may hit dead center here, but if not, watch the slide on the object ball. He won't baby it. Not too much. He's overcut it. Oh, it took it.
This is how you know you're playing good, when you almost miss.
That's right.
If you almost make them, you're not playing that good. But when you almost miss, pretty good.
He's coming across for the 4 in the corner. That makes sense for the 5. And he's good.
Boy, better than good. I think he even got just a hint of an angle where he can keep the cue ball off the rail. That's all he needs.
Yeah, and he's going to see about shooting the 6 from in between the 8 and 9, just to size that up. The 7's very open. Stop shot?
Yeah, he went and checked.
Now, does he come between the 8 and 9 here? I think it lays pretty natural to do so, to be honest with you. I don't see why not.
Oh, he's disappointed. He hit the pocket a little heavier than he
sure
anticipated. Did. Okay.
Hit it much heavier than, I mean, that was a lot heavier. And a difficult kick, really. Side's a little in the way of the natural path. He's going to have to bend this a hair.
This is one of these kicks where rarely do you see him just go after it, but here there's no play to make other than whack it.
Oh, how sweet do you hit this behind the 10 with the cue ball as well? Come on. Come on.
Crippling blow that's been outlawed in many states.
Wow, what a shot.
Yeah.
I don't know if he cut him off the 7, but still, what a hit. Alex looks a little rope-a-doped.
Yeah, he's played his heart out. I mean, he'd be beating most everybody else in this field with his performance thus far, and he's pretty well behind. And then now he's got a little misfortune going on. Well, you're just gonna have to make something happen here.
Yeah, even if you have to swerve it, I think I like the swerve, trying to hit the 7 and bleed the cue ball behind the 9, maybe. I don't know. This is super tough.
I almost like the rail first, kind of that. It's a long ways from the edge, but off the rail first, off the long rail, and try to get the cue ball worked in behind the 8.
Oh, yeah, that's decent.
But it's the 7's a long way.
It is, but you can hit it a few different ways. You ain't got to hit it dead one way to do what you were talking about. So I like your shot, to be honest with you. He was trying to get up underneath it, bring some separation that way.
Hey, not bad.
Not
bad. Yeah.
It's probably going to be a little behind the 8 here, but maybe the 7 gets banked down below the 7, below the 10. He's looking at something else now. Maybe this is the 7 too far up to. It looks like it's a pretty natural. He's very good at this shot, banking the 7 back down. He may not be able to kill the cue ball underneath the 8, so he may play more of the 7 here than the cue ball.
That's what he's looking at, and he can maybe introduce the 10 as a ball to block it, so it doesn't have to just be the 8 or the 9.
He's cutting this ball in.
Whew. Well, he's unsure. This will be the only time in the match we see him use his 40-second extension here. He's almost never does he have to go to the extension, so that gives you an idea how tough this circumstance is. I think he's going to bank it down to the other end rail, though. Yeah.
Yeah, and I
Good
thought
speed.
he could still get behind
Good
the 8.
speed.
Yeah.
Look at that shot. Wow. Controlled both balls quite well.
It looked pretty natural. Now, don't get me wrong. He made it look even more natural with great execution.
Yeah.
And he's really kind of cut off the bottom rail as well. So just got the cue ball perfect. It'd take a little masse with some spin to be able to come underneath this. So better off to kick where you can put a little more speed on the ball.
I can think of 4 times in this match that Kazakis had to kick really tough shots.
Yeah, he's going to give up a cupcake in the side.
You remember when that one ball was pinned to the point on the side pocket?
Yeah,
he had to
and then
kick
what
slow
about the one when he kicked in when he was on 2 fouls?
That I said
that was no hanger.
And I said I'd build him a statue.
And meanwhile, you better get busy.
Yeah, I know. I hope he likes paper mache. I don't think I can swing
snow. We might get some snow in a few days. There you go. Won't last long. Uh-oh, he knows he's on the rail here. And it's the same thing for him. He came back a little quick and let up on the downswing, and the ball didn't bite as much. You know, the draw didn't really grab at it quite as much and kill the cue ball.
That's the thing. Filler always plays with a long bridge. And
yeah,
then
a long
sometimes,
bridge can kill you.
Right, and that's somehow you kind of decelerate into balls from that long bridge. Playing with a short bridge now, though.
Yeah, and he's never, to me, he doesn't have the long bridge all the time. There's certain shots.
Mm-hmm.
To me, he's 8 or 9 inches a lot of time, which is fine. You know, like there, it's a little long to me, but it's more about a pocketing of the ball a little bit. And now, 8-4 in breaking.
He made that 10 ball look easy. That's not, especially when you leave it to yourself. It's and he always pinches that 2 cushions. You know, even from that range, most guys roll that. He pinches it.
Yeah, I've learned to where for the most part, I try to pinch them. Just depends on if there's any kind of like, threat of if it goes off in my hand, if I miss it a little bit, I could pull it into this corner pocket,
Look at these stats.
Yeah.
69 balls pocketed, 4 errors on the 5x10 for Filler, 51 balls pocketed for Kazakis with only 5 errors. Super high quality.
Made sure he didn't lose it off in that side pocket.
Yeah, he squared him up much nicer.
He's going to get a shot in the side with the 1 near, so.
18.03 on the break.
He's been very consistent, just a hair over 18 for the most part.
Well, this is that shot that wins the rack for you if you can really connect on it and get positioned properly. Yeah, he's going to go ahead and pace it out there. He's not going to hold it for the corner. He's going to just roll this so he can play the 2 onto the 7. That makes the 1 ball a little bit easier.
Does he not catch a piece of the 2 here going by?
Looks pretty straight.
Don't take your eye off the prize, making the balls where it's at.
Oh,
what a stroke.
Great shot. Stun, stop, trickle ahead. And have to grab his extension. Yeah, he looked at the combination. He realized if he rolled forward, that was going to be awkward too. So he figured he'd just take his gamble right there with that stun stop.
Yeah, and it's really what he's looking at is it's another shot that probably wins the rack.
Mm-hmm.
So the guy gets motivated for that type of shot no matter what it is.
Man, yesterday when Shaw was playing, I thought it looked like, this is Shaw's table, and he just lets the other guy play on it for a little bit. And now it looks like Filler's doing the same thing. This would be his 5th break and run out of the set.
Well, I didn't get to see Shaw break yesterday. You told me he broke really well, but as far as getting shots and making balls and making a lot of balls, no one's been better that I've seen so far than Filler. He's made, this time it was only 1 on the break, I think, but overall.
Oh, look at this.
He's a little light there.
Wow, he got really tricky.
Well, he's great at it, creeping it out of there, which is what you got to do. So you just take your medicine, a little distance on the 10.
You got more out of that than I thought from mine. I had the perfect view, too.
Yeah, well, the key is, Mark, just smooth it out of there. That's how you get the grip of the side spin to take the most, right? So
5 breaker runouts, that's all. That's the best he can do.
Another break and run there,
Wow.
extending his lead to 9-4. Kazakis back at the table with the break.
Think how much fun it must be to play pool like that. He waits for the cue ball to stop, runs around, does the referee's job, grabs all the balls out of every pocket, hastens back to his chair, takes the cap off his water, chalks his cue.
And almost always takes his glove off when it's not his turn at the table. I don't know if he did this time, but normally does. Now Kazakis feeling it a little bit, I think, you know, maybe a hair frustration because he really hasn't dogged it. It's just had a few dry breaks, a few unfortunate things, and then a lot of Joshua filler. Great hit. Poured that ball on the side. The one's going to come up a little high. Okay, so this is where, you know, are you going to change your decision because of the score? Would you, you know, oh, the 4 got in the way of the bank, huh?
It's borderline.
Okay, I think it did. So that's going to not make it. That's probably going to make his decision for him. He can bank the 1 across above the 7, over underneath the 6, and bring the cue ball down behind the 10. Pretty easy shot. He could use the 5. Now this has got to be more precise, I think, unless he's really moving the 1 a long ways. Super shot.
Yeah, good job.
Yeah, 2-rail kick is pretty nice here. If he can get by the 5, I don't know if he can though. Looks like he's got to go 1 rail at it. Now is he? This one here, it doesn't look like a light speed does very good for you, but we'll see.
Got 10 ball in action. Got the.
That's going to work out.
That was a good shot, and don't think he was not trying to play the 10 there.
Play the 1 back up, cue ball behind the 5 again.
Yeah, you got a wall of balls there to get him.
Yeah. It's okay.
You know, this is an area that not having the jump cue makes it so much more of a contest here. If he has the jump cue, it's pretty much effortless to hit the 1, and a lot of the times he's going to pocket the 1.
Trying to get 2 rails elevating, that's for sure.
Okay, Kazakis, and this has earned an opportunity from the safety exchange, safety and kicks.
Yeah, near the rail with the cue ball. Can he get around the 2 ball, or does he have to play this mildly? It's close, I think. He could easily, if he forces it, it could easily something bad go wrong here. Move the 2 out of position, maybe get jacked up over the 8 or the 4 or something like that. So
he never likes rolling balls, so he normally forces things.
Oh, he was barely went by that 2.
Well, he was able to force it with control.
Yeah, if he nudges that 2, though, probably cut off the run. So that was a delicate shot, a nice swing of the cue. Does he have a pocket for the 4? Is he drawing back for the side?
Yep.
Okay.
Had to wait till he hit it to answer your question.
Yeah.
But now that I see it, yes, he's going to play it
Well,
the side.
I didn't think it went by the 7. I wasn't so sure if it went by the 5 or not. So that would have been a little bit funny shot to try and draw into that position. So much better he had this available.
Every year I say, boy, these guys get better, and these guys, you know, it can't get any better than this. But I don't say that the last 5 or 6 years. I used to say it, but nope, they get better every year. Yeah, that's just the corner pocket stop shot. Then it'll be a 1 cushion out to the center of the table, play the 8 in the side.
Yeah, and Kazakis knows he's just got to keep plugging, but he also knows that he's going to need a little assistance, it looks like, from Filler to get back in this match, or at least win the match, let's say that.
Well, I don't think he's going to get any assistance from Filler, but he's going to need the pool gods to give him a few more opportunities and maybe take a couple away from Filler. And then by that, what I mean is where, you know, balls don't bump open or he doesn't get a shot.
Out after the break.
Exactly.
Like that, yeah.
Make 3 balls in the break and have to roll out.
All right, all kinds of ways you can do this. Just simply stop. You can draw back. You can follow for the side. You can draw for the other side. There's just a number of things you could have done. Had a little bit of the rubber going in there, but 9-5 and filler a break in game number 15.
After 14 racks of pool, check out that TPA from both players. We are watching an amazing match here. Josh Filler has the break and a chance to go to the hill, leading 9-5.
Boy, that is a good point. 924, 952. Total performance average.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, that's the thing that has to happen.
And that's one
right
of those
there.
mistakes. Those
Yeah.
that help, right?
Yep.
Tricky little first shot from the 1 to the 2, just because the speed's got to be really nice. Now, he can play it. There's a few ways you can play this. You can come underneath the 2. And the only reason I would maybe suggest that, Mark, is going off the long rail to the short rail and then up a little bit, or even stay underneath the 2. Is because when you're heavy on it and the ones on the rail like this, hard to gauge the speed going one rail past the 3, but not too far past the 7.
Right.
You know, if the 7 wasn't there, different story. But very difficult to gauge the speed otherwise. Very difficult to gauge the speed like this.
Yeah, and
He's got to be going underneath here, right?
Across your body. This makes it tough.
He's got to be going underneath.
Yeah, you wouldn't think he could come one rail at it.
No, that's going to end up bumping it maybe. That may end up.
That was not the best route.
No, and a little bit of an unsure route maybe is what really kind of led towards a mishit on the 1 a little bit.
It looks like he has it down in the corner, not the shot he was playing for.
He may just be playing the safety.
It might be just rolling up on the 4, too. Yep, or 3.
It's going to leak. This is a big mistake here. Huge mistake.
Well, really, it was one bad shot followed up with a second bad shot.
Yeah. And I think I still would have laid the cue ball on the rail underneath the 1 with ball in hand and played underneath it that way versus getting on top of it with inside myself. But
and shooting across your body, and then you get that warp. I mean, it wasn't even close to where he wanted to go.
And this has gotten super funny here. Now, can he trickle the 2 past the 10 and use the 9 to hold the ball? Like that? That's what I would have tried, something like that.
Okay.
I mean, it was just, he was in a tough spot. He only had the right side of the 2.
Yeah.
It was a froze ball, you know, so you can double kiss it, right? With all the congestion, I think his percentages said that was the best play. Now, a little fortune maybe to get the kiss and hold behind the 9, but I think that was his best option.
Well, I don't know if we can grab the overhead real quick, but if we do, yeah, I think the kick is going to be here, and if you hit it too hard, it won't lengthen enough to hit the 2 ball over here.
Yeah, and it's not high English, believe it or not. A lot of people say, oh, I need high on this. It's actually center ball that makes it lengthen on the second rail. If you go high ball, you can't aim at the right point to come into that second rail correctly because your first rail is going to bend with the high ball, right? So it's more of a center ball. See, I'm hitting downward here a little bit.
That's
trying
easy.
to hit right before the side like that. That makes it lengthen. Didn't help him, but huge turn of events here with ball in hand. I think Kazakis really had a great opportunity here. Josh will just pinch this back a little bit. 3 in the corner, 4 in the opposite corner. You can see where the 5 plays by the 9. So a lot of little nifty, little tight group shots here. Doesn't have to do a whole lot. This should carry Mr. Filler to the hill. One thing, these two, Kazakis a little older, of course. What is Kazakis now? About 36, maybe 35-ish.
Ooh, you caught me off guard. I think he is 36, though.
Okay. So he's still got plenty of years, but this guy, Filler, some other young ones, they got a lot to look forward to, and a lot to look forward to as far as a bunch of guys like themselves coming up, in my opinion. So it's going to be, it's not going to be so easy to dominate, you might say.
Oh, Filler's 24. He's won a world championship a few years ago. I mean, like,
yeah, U.S. Open 9-ball.
You got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
Devastating.
Well, I think this got a little funny.
Yeah.
I think he's going to have to go a long ways off that third rail here going around the 9. It's okay.
You know, yeah, this is.
Just commit to it, that's all.
This is that funny thing. Well, I think you need to play the pocket and go 2 cushions right at the 10. Just a little high left.
Nothing wrong with that.
And just how you hit the pocket gives it either the angle right or not. Oh, he checked it up. Okay. Well, that got weird. If he had the other English on there, he's right into the 10.
Yeah. I don't think he ever saw your shot, to be honest with you. It kind of looked like a natural shot, what you were saying, because you can hit the 10 about 10 different ways and be fine.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Well,
good thing he's lefty.
Well, even then.
Yeah, this got tough.
Oh, one of our great fans out here, Mike Mancini, says Kazakis is 30 years old.
30? No.
Born in 91.
Yeah, I thought I talked to Alex not long ago.
Filler.
And he
First
told
to
me he
reach
was
the hill.
older than that, I thought.
10-5, and Kazakis will have the break.
I never second guess our great fans, Jeremy.
There you go.
88 balls pocketed, 5 errors, 946 for Filler.
Yeah, you're right. 30 years old.
Told you we have great fans.
Yeah, you do. Smart ones as well. Informed.
And just like Skylar said, I don't care how smart you are. You ain't smarter than Google.
Yeah. Well, I confirmed your fan with Google right there. And Kazakis was born on July 16th, 1991. A little miss on the 1 that time. The break hasn't necessarily been his best friend anyways.
You know, it's kind of funny, too, because he got a lot of action on the balls, but somehow they just don't find the pockets when you don't really square them up.
Yeah. And just like 9-ball, you know, that's the one time you can miss the corner ball when you Brooklyn the 1. And 10-ball's not quite as bad with that, it seems like. But if you miss it a bit, it seems like the balls, like you said, Mark, don't really go to their places. It's going to take a nice stroke here and a little creativity to get on this 3. Can he go 1 rail between the 6-9, come all the way down between the 10-7? That's what I would look at. 1 rail right between the 6-9. He caught the 6. He punched it, though. I didn't think he had to create an angle at all.
Right. He didn't hit as high on the cue ball and let the cue ball arc forward into the end rail a little bit. Well, now he's looking at, what, a 2-cushion bank?
It looks like now he's edging it.
Oh,
perfect
dandy
speed.
hit. What a hit. Good Lord.
It looks like pretty good speed.
Yeah. Even if he can hit it from where he was at, that's probably as good as you could ever hope to do. Probably better than you'd be satisfied with. That's just excellent. Kazakis got a kick.
Wow, he can't even kick to the bottom rail, so he really cut him off. And the good thing for Kazakis is he can be pretty aggressive coming underneath this with the 7 being there. The scratch isn't there no more. So a lot easier to get some separation.
Oh,
beautiful.
Yeah. Good call, too, because that landed right heavy into the 7 that would have scratched had the 7 not been there.
Yeah, you can almost play to try and make the 7 sometimes, but still better off to try and play the safety, knowing you can be a little more aggressive coming underneath it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, edging it again.
This will be a pretty shot.
Uh-oh.
Hello, corner pocket. Yes. He says, you got to be kidding me. That was a 14-foot shot and 10 feet down. I had to hit the pocket.
We're going to see
4.5-inch pocket.
We're going to see more of Kazakis. Still got to work, though. Of course, these first few are okay, but the 6 to the 7, some work. Got to fall with an angle to get on the 8. Can't overlook these first 4, but should definitely get these down. Yeah, a little oddly cueing here, huh?
Yeah, the all ball fouls thing.
And just kind of a little stretched and elevated. Shouldn't be a problem. He's got such a big area to get on the 5. He can simplify this shot a little bit. Doesn't really have to dig on the cue ball too much. Oh, man, he didn't dig on it at all, and he may have gotten snookered here. No,
I think he can still see it.
Yeah.
Whew. Yeah, that's a little frightening.
Yeah, now he's got to roll his ball. Maybe, I don't know if he can draw off of this, and needs to gain a little bit of an angle to get back from the 6 to the 7 easily. And now he's getting a little straightish. And the good thing is these guys can usually pound it out off the rail if need be.
When you're close to the 6, pounding it's a lot easier. And then he's right-handed. That helps too.
The thing about the pounding is the speed coming back going to be okay, not to fall straight in. That happens a lot too. All right, I think he's captured all the shot there. Perfect. So now a little simple top English, 2 rails maybe for the 8 in the corner. Could come down for the side. He did. You know, you had talked about his ball pocketing skills, and at one time that was the case. But I think Kazakis even more now is labeled as one of the more efficient players. Very tidy with the cue ball, very good with decisions. You wouldn't say he does anything better than anybody in the world, but he's good at all parts. You know what I mean? Like he's up there at all parts of them. So,
Yeah, I mean, you got to be a great player to get up here and play a 920, and the other guy's shooting back at you. You know, not that easy. Even if you play bad players to play a 920 on a 10-footer.
I don't know if Kazakis knows the, American saying of running into a buzzsaw, but that's what's happened here because he has played great pool and he's still down 4 games.
Well, 5 breaking runouts. I mean, he didn't even get to shoot in those games, and he's did all right with the games he gets to turn.
All right, Fillers had 2 scratches on the break, so how big was that last one where Kazakis didn't get out? Man. All right. Got to ball down. The one's going to bounce up for something thin, it looks like, but probably not playable. Hasn't gone over 19 the entire match that I recall anyways.
Well, let me just double check. Yes, he was at 19-12 once.
Okay. So he can bleed him behind the 3 or the 5 here. I think behind the 5 really can get him here because the 6 is so nice. So you can just move the 1 past the 6 a little bit, heavy left spin, and really try and bury him underneath that 5 ball. If he happens to do that, the 3 really might cut off the 2-rail kick. So we'll see. Heavy left spin, if that's what he's shooting. He didn't put much spin. He didn't put much spin at all. He moved the one much further than I thought he would. I thought he would just slowly put the one past the 6 and try and spin the cue ball up underneath the 5. I think a little fortunate to get him over the 5 here. Makes it super tough. I think it is cuttable, though, Mark.
Take a monster shot, jacked up over the 5.
It's going to be okay unless it hits that little gap between the 9-10.
That would have been cruel.
Yeah.
Fielder's acting like he can get between the 9 and the 10. So, oh yeah, he could. Well, cross corner bank now for Kazakis.
He's overcut it a bit. I think he cut him off. Decent kick shot to the bottom rail here. Using the 8-9, maybe the 10. It's all about the speed on the object ball in this one because you can handle the kick. You're not going to lose the cue ball, so it's all about object ball speed. Very good.
Boy, he'll kick and stick. That was a nicely executed stroke.
But notice how far he moved the one with what looked like a very light stroke. And what happens is with the combination of the spin and that boing off the rail immediately, really puts a lot into the object ball. You don't have to kill it to get the ball down table. Used to overhit that a lot, Mark. Worried about getting the one down there.
Mm-hmm. Now, Kazakis got a half masse, it looks like, or else he's just jacking up to get more side spin on here.
Watch outside pocket. Oof. He's going to leave a nice starter on what really should end this match. Just stop shot here. No reason to draw back. Want that little angle on this combination. That way nothing terrible happens. So most likely we're going to lose Alex Kazakis and playing at a rate of over 900. Wish we were going to be able to keep him, but that's just how tournament pool is.
Right. Maybe we could trade him out for somebody that shot like an 860 or something.
No, they're gonna rebound and improve. So.
Okay, yeah, that's a good point too.
We can't take that away.
No, that's true. And plus 860 is fantastic on this table.
So another one will advance to the final 8, and we'll see him again tomorrow, along with the 4 that advanced from yesterday, and Roberto Gomez, who went on to win earlier today over John Mora. Alex Kazakis will be back at it with the bank pool and going on from there here at the 2022 Derby.
Yeah.
The killer,
Kazakis played a 909. Really lost pretty decisively, 11-6.
Yeah, it didn't really seem like he even had a chance at 909. So.
A really fun match. We want to thank everybody. This has been an Accu-Stats presentation. Please join us again, and so long for just a while.
So right now it's going to be